Hi guys, welcome back to the Big Shift. Today we've got another fascinating life journey of a confirmed mob killer. He's got an unbelievable tale to tell. His name is Anthony Arillotta. Anthony, thanks for coming on the Big Shift.
It's great to be here.
Now, look,
Mhm.
you've been around a lot of iconic kind of guys, notorious names. Another one, Whitey Bulger, very famous name. Of course, he was on the run for so long. They got him there. They killed him. They said he was an informant and all that. What was your relationship with Whitey? Because you knew him, right?
I went to a prison at a young age, state prison. And when you
Hmm.
go to a state prison, you got everybody, all different types of people, but you have more serious criminals. And when I went, I was only 21 years old, so I met a lot of Irish and Italian gangsters. Boston has a big Irish population, and there's a lot of Irish, hoodlums, gangsters. A lot of them, they say that they have they're the armored car capital of the world, because they were robbing so many armored cars in Charlestown and in them areas. I have a good friend, Brian Goodman, that I was in prison with at a young age. He was kind of like a mentor, and he actually did a book on all that and a movie. A movie on his life based on all those things. So when I met all these guys, when I got out of prison in '91, I would go to Boston. Brian, that I just mentioned, was one of the guys back then, but I met a lot of these Southeast, South Boston, Charlestown, and a lot from the North End, which is Italian. And so when I used to go meet these guys, Whitey would be in the places that, I'd go meet him at bars, and Whitey would be in there. He'd be down the end of the bar, and he called my friend over one time to, my friend had to go see him. But, Whitey was like, when he called him over there, Whitey knows everything that's going on in that, in his town. And he wanted to know who I was. And my friend's response to him was that's Anthony. He doesn't answer to nobody. He hustles on himself. Because I was doing a lot of, we were hijacking a lot of trucks, and I was selling a lot of the merchandise down to the Boston guys. So, and I was, heavily involved in the drugs, and it was like, right when I was coming into the guys in my area, it was like right when I was coming around Bruno into that life. So he was right when he said he doesn't answer to nobody. Because I never gave them any of my drug money, or they never knew anything that I was doing. I did it all myself. So yeah, so I would see Whitey in all the bars. And one thing about Whitey that anybody can say is he was a feared gangster. I mean, he was what he was. Everything else they want to say, but he was a ruthless and feared gangster. I mean, I know guys that I was locked up with that were notorious killers and tough guys, and they were not afraid of Whitey, but they
Very,
were
very.
very cautious, and they wouldn't disrespect them. There was whispers about him being an informant, but nobody would say it. Certain guys would come out like in the early '90s before it came out that but nobody would dare say it, where it would come back to him. And he had a lot of bodies. I mean, he killed my friend's uncle. He was involved in different wars back in the in the '60s. They had big wars. They had these Irish gangs, and I mean, there had to be like maybe 100 people got killed during that war. And they ended up being the Winter Hill gang. Ended up being formed out of that, and that's what they say he was the head of. And the Italian gangsters in the North End still had the power.
Mm.
They had a bigger army, a bigger crew. But Whitey was definitely a gangster, and people were in fear of him. And he did corrupt the FBI. He corrupted them.
His brother was a politician, and he was very, so they had a lot of stuff. They must have known a lot of guys between them. There's books and all this stuff out about it. I have read some stuff, but just to put it down to the dynamic of what brothers are like. I mean, even in the later years, it's his brother who was in City Hall and all that stuff. They used to ask him about why, but he would never say, "Oh, I know where he is." He'd sidestep it even then. I don't see him, right? So there was always that protection there, that brothers thing, right?
For 16 years, he was on the lam. He took off in '95, and they didn't catch him till 2011. And when they caught him, he had over 800,000 cash at his apartment
in the wall.
And they say he's got,
right?
He's got millions and millions and millions everywhere.
Here's a question, Anthony. So, these gangs, I mean, did the Italians and the Irish get on, or generally, or would there be some bad feuds going on there?
I think years ago they probably didn't get along. When I was coming around, they got along, especially in prison. We had a big population of Irish and Italians. We used to have back then, we used to have our own Italian club and an Irish club. We used to have it where the Irish club could have their families come in with food, and we would get invited to their club, and we could have our families come up and eat with them outside food. Same thing with us. The Italians could have once a month we could do this. So our families could bring in home cooked meals, and we could have the Irish join us. And that's what we did. We stuck together in there. Like a lot of the guys I hung around with, my closest guys, even though I had Italians that were from my area, my closest guys were Irish. They were just crazy. They had no fear. They were like, they had no fear. And, they were funny, and I got along good with them.
It makes a lot of sense to get on, right? Makes a lot of sense to get on.
Yeah.
Right. So, Whitey Bulger, right? When he was arrested, I've heard some people have said, and I have heard, Anthony, you had a lot of violent guys in your crew. They was busy guys. That's what I hear, right? And I also hear that some of them was involved in the murder of Whitey Bulger. What can you tell us about that? What is the truth about that?
Yeah. Well, I knew my friend Freddie was doing time in West Virginia. And when I got out, I had to have a job working at I was working at a car dealership. And this was right when I got the job, and it was good for me. It gave me something to do, gave me, interact with people, get my, just keep me busy, keep me out of trouble. And I had just been there for like maybe 2 months, and somebody calls me up and said, Whitey Bulger guy is dead. And I said, who cares? And they said, well, he was murdered. Then I'm starting to see someone else tell me, my guy I was working with tells me, says, oh, did you hear Whitey Bulger was murdered? Now he went from dead to being murdered. And then I find out that he was in Hazleton Penitentiary, in West Virginia. And right when they said that, I said, guaranteed, I called my other friend in this area. I said, this guy killed him. And he was like, you think so? He goes, I go for sure. And then when the news started coming out, some news places said that he admitted it. Him, and there was this other guy there. I don't know if he admitted it or not. I know that I thought I heard that reported that he admitted killing him. So that was pretty another notorious, high profile murder.
Yeah, very, very much so. Another chapter closed, and that was quite a story. He was on the run for a long time, and the way that transpired. Now look, there's a lot of different stuff about this life. We talked at the start. Now, for you, Anthony, in your journey, I know you come out of that life. You wanted out of that life. I know you was also, they say, a star witness, you a star witness. You testified against a couple of people in the trial. It's documented and all that. There are different motivations, obviously, that people have for the choices that they take. Why did you do that? For you, I'm just asking you a simple question. With that life, we know what that life is. What led you to that point where you testified and you become a government witness?
So that was, so in my case, I guess there's two ways to look at that. There's your family, you have a family, you have little kids, and you're facing death penalty sentence, a case, life imprisonment case. So you can look at it as, you got a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 15-year-old, 3 young children. And so you got that part of it. The second part is the way everything unfolded with, in my area. At first it was supposed to be 3 of us get made. The other 2 guys don't come. I got made. This guy Artie was a soldier. He went to boss. Bruno was going to just be taken down. He got killed. And it was all being done in a different way than what was done me growing up. Things were being done different. They were doing more of extortions. John Bologna was the one reporting back to Artie. Artie was getting told information from John Bologna that was untrue at times. A lot of Bologna was lying to him. He was bringing down the other guy, Felix. They were sending lies to him. And I get that. That's the life that we lived. It's a very treacherous life. You can navigate through that, and you know what you signed up for when it came to that. But what happened was, I had already did the piece of work on the Union guy by shooting him. John Bologna knew all about that. And John Bologna was actually the one that showed me where the guy parked his car. Well, I was in New York meeting with Artie and other captains of the family. There was a bunch of us there, and the boss of the Gambinos, I don't know if he was acting boss, underboss, boss. I believe he was the acting boss. His name was Anthony. He pulled up. Me and Artie got in the car with him. He introduced me to him. And this guy took a look at JB and said, John Bologna said, "What is JB doing here?" See, JB used to be around the Gambinos and used to be a driver for Jimmy Brown Fayala. He was a big time Gambino guy. He used to drive him around. So this guy says, "We chased him. This guy's no good. He's an informant." So I get out of the car. Artie kept talking with him. And I asked Artie about that. I said, "Artie, what do you make of this guy, what he said about JB?" And he said, "Don't pay no mind of it. They're just jealous that he's around over here now." So now this guy knows I did a piece of work already. So then I'm in my area, and another thing was going on, like I said, with the beef with the kids, with Sonny Francesi was behind him in the club over there. And I was with a captain in the Patriarcha family. He was with this guy, Rico Petrillo, and this guy, Anthony. They called him Beaver. They both told me that the guys that we're dealing with in the shakedown of the Hustler nightclub, they're informants, and that we should back off them because, we were going at them hard. They wanted $12,000 a week. And so I just said, "Yeah, thank you, but we're going to still go forward." And he said, "Oh, by the way, the guy that comes up with your area with the beard, he's an informant also." They got word that this guy was an informant. So now this guy knows about the Bruno murder too. So when I went down to Artie to tell him what I learned from these patriarcha captain, you know, big time guys in the patriarcha family. I told Artie, you know, what they said. And now this guy knows about a murder. He knows about, you know, the shooting, the union boss. He's got enough to eat that can put me away the rest of my life. And I said to Artie, I said, you know, if you have this guy come up, we'll kill him. And now Artie, he said, okay, that's good to know. You know, he never acted on it, never did anything. So he sort of protected. The reason I say he protected him was after that, he stopped John from coming up by himself to our area. And the reason he did that, because Artie never gave me permission to kill my brother-in-law. We killed my brother-in-law when we were trying to kill Bruno. So the order to kill Bruno came out, and there was other murder plots going on at the same time. I mean, it was a crazy year, but the murder plan was going on to kill Bruno, and we killed this other guy without permission. I didn't get permission to kill him from New York, and we killed him. Artie asked me about that. He said, what happened with the guy, your brother-in-law? I said, I think he took off to Florida. He met a girl and he left. I think because he was buried. They never found him. So I think he took off with another girl. And Artie knew I killed him. So in his mind, I know that he thought that if we're crazy enough to kill this guy, but we're supposed to be killing these other guys and kill Bruno, and we kill this guy, he knows that we would have clipped JB. So in my mind, that he was protecting him. Why was he protecting him? I don't know. So then I end up doing prison time. I do 3 years in prison from 05 to 08. I get indicted. Me, Freddie, and Ty, we beat the case. We go to trial. We get found not guilty. So I did 3.5 years from 05 to 2008. I had 3 cases. I had the feds and I had the state, all concurrent. So I get out in 2008. Now I get out, and this guy, John Bologna, is trying to reach out to me. I don't want nothing to do with him. I don't want to go near him. I don't want to go near him. And I sent one of my guys to go see him. He says, no, tell him he's got to come and talk to me. I said, I'm not going near the guy. He said, it's a message. And the bosses were trying to get a hold of me too. See, I basically, when I got out in 2008, after being away from my family, at that time, my kids were only 2, 3 and really young. I knew that what was important to me was my family. You know, I had successful businesses. I was a multimillionaire prior to me having anything to do with the mafia. And in my mind, I didn't need them. And in my mind, my family was first. So when I got out of prison in 2008, I was focusing on still my stuff, but I just didn't want to deal with, you know, New York and the mafia bullshit, you know. I mean, not only did we shoot the guy for in New York, but we had other plots to do shootings in New York also. So it was getting to the point, I ended up getting arrested, but it was getting to the point now that they see us as, you know, these guys are capable killers. Let them come down here and, you know, and shoot guys for us. Like, it's kind of getting to the point where we're being used, you know, because when I was in prison, that's what they did. They wanted Freddie, and I told Freddie not to do it. They wanted him to do another couple pieces of work. So when I finally go meet John, sure enough, when I met him, he was wired. I found this out afterwards. He had the feds parked outside, and they were listening to the car. I talked to him like he was wired. He tried to bring up murders. I whispered in his ear, I'm not talking about none of that, but he still brought it up anyways. So when 2010, I'm thinking I'm trying to escape through this all. You know, I still got like a little over a year left on my federal probation, and I'm trying to get through this. So if I get off probation, you know, I stopped going down to New York. They were calling for me, but I wanted to build my own crew, but I wanted to do a lot of legitimate things. And, you know, I didn't want to, you know, I was trying to get away from that. So 2010, I get a call from a guy that says the guy, John Bologna, went in the witness protection program. So I said, oh boy, I'm done. And I remember I thought there were going to be feds all outside and, you know, arresting me, but they didn't come for a month. So in the meantime, when they came for a month, you know, I was planning on getting my defense ready to fight the case. And this I can go on with so many different ways with this and all different. I'm just trying to give you a short, quick version, but I'm trying to get money in order. So, you know, when I do get locked up, money's going to come to my wife and kids. I'm trying to get, you know, other things going on with my girlfriend set up like with that. I'm trying to get, you know, everything organized, get lawyers involved because we heard it was going to be a New York indictment. So I'm trying to get that lined up. I end up getting this guy, John Mitchell. He was a high profile attorney. He actually represented John Gotti, all big time gangsters. He was very close with the boss that put Artie in the position. Okay. This guy, Ernie, he was friends with him. So anyways, I end up getting arrested. They arrest me, and I'm facing a death penalty case. That's you know, it's a death penalty case that I'm facing, you know, as far as now they take that off? Yeah, but you got to fight to get that off. And then you go to court and, you know, instead of death, you get life if you get the death penalty off. So as I'm being locked up, you know, the treachery of this life comes, and this is all I can say. The money, you know, I set it up where the two main things, loan sharking and numbers, I was getting like $10,000 a week. That was my end. That was supposed to go to my house. And I had meetings with guys. I said, I don't want to see him miss 1 week. None of the money started going there because they figure I'm never coming home, you know, which I get it. All right. So whatever. I mean, I could have dealt with that. I would have had somebody come in, and then I would have tried to say, go shoot this guy, go shoot that guy. I mean, it would have been, you know, and then, I find out that John Bologna Artie was doing 5 years at the same time also. And he was in Fort Dix. He was getting ready to come home. Well, they indicted him a week before me, February 10th. I got indicted like February 18th. So while I'm in lockup, I hear that John Bologna wore a wire on Artie like a half a dozen times. He was going up to Fort Dix. He was wearing a wire. So now my lawyer comes up, and I got one, you know, and plus I seen a list of over 100 names that were going to testify against us. So we were, you know, dead in the water. But what got me was I always said, why did Artie protect this guy? Why didn't he let us, you know, kill this guy? You know, you got him, you got two captains in the family, you got Felix, and you got this guy, Ray. They know about the Bruno murder, you know, and you got John Bologna, you got the guy, Frankie. He was a shooter on the Bruno murder. So they got everything. But so all these thoughts, you know, when you get arrested, nothing goes through your mind. You know, my mind is fight the case and beat the case. But when my lawyer, when John Mitchell come up to see me, he comes up and he says, you know, the first sentences out of his mouth was, the guys in New York are worried, very worried. You know, I don't know if he said not shitting in their pants, but they're very worried. He said a comment like that, like very nervous. And I said, what are they nervous about? And he said that Artie is not in the system. Now, Artie got indicted for the same. Artie was first on the indictment. I was second. Artie got it, and it was like about 8 other guys. Artie was indicted a week before me. Now, this lawyer comes up to me and tells me that Artie's not in the system. When you go in BOP locator and you see that a guy is, because he was in Fort Dix. So you go, like right now, you can find out anybody in the system by going on the BOP locator. You'll find out where they are. All you got to do is punch in their name and their age. So, but their lawyers couldn't find Artie. There was no contact with him. He was not in the system. What that means is he 90% of the time that he cut a deal, you know, that he, you know, because they took him out of the system
somewhere else,
and they take him out of BOP custody. So once you're out of BOP custody, even if you're in transit, you're still in BOP custody. You're with the marshals, you know, the marshals with the BOP, but he was not in there. So now this is like, if he got indicted February 10th, a week before me, and you're talking like weeks later that the lawyer comes up and sees me, it was like, and they're worried sick in New York. The bosses in New York are worried sick. Then to me, that was when the thought of me saying this life, you know, ain't for me. And that was it. I had enough with that. because, you know, growing up, we had the Whitey Bulger stuff. You know, you hear these things, how the bosses work with, and it made sense to me. I mean, it made sense that this guy, John, was telling Artie that he was an informant, and Artie was like using him. You know, you got the Whitey Bulger story. You got Bruno, my guy at my area, that, you know, they killed somebody for the district attorney. And they controlled the district attorney for 20 something years in our area. So, but at the same time as they controlled them, they were giving the district attorney information. This was a state district attorney. They were giving him information to put their enemies in prison.
Yeah.
So you got Bruno that did that. You got Bruno that just got caught talking to the FBI, giving up who made guys work. You got Whitey Bulger that was doing that in Boston. And you can see that you got Greg Scarpa that was, how many New York guys played that game and how many they said played it years ago that we don't know. So now you start thinking that's the game that's going on here. And so it's like a sheep being led to the slaughter is what it's coming down to.
Look, thanks for saying your piece on that, Anthony. You know, it's well documented. So, you know, it's very clear what you've said, you know, and I'm very happy, you know, to give you the platform so you can say your piece, because there are many different moving parts here with this, right? I mean, I do know that, look, you know, you opted out of witness protection. You didn't go witness protection. You know, you didn't do none of that stuff. You've gone back to your area. You know, you've left the life. You said you wanted to get out of life and all that. So you've walked the walk, right? You walked the walk there. So, you know, we're coming at thanks for coming on, really, you know, and we'll talk again on other stuff. Look, you know, I just want to, you know, we're running out of time, but thanks for the interview. And look, you know, I want to give you the opportunity to look, you know, you're back in the area now. How's your life now? You know, and are you better? What are you doing with your life now since you've come out of that life, Anthony?
Yeah. So right now, if you know what we go through in that life, I know you told me, you know, I know some about your life. You did 17 years, and you know, it's that life is very alluring. I love the life. I love living that life. Now, my regrets, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I got very spiritual in prison, but I got spiritual based on me, meaning like I got very well in tune with my life. When I tell you that I love that life, I miss that life and I love that life about all the, you know, just the hustling part of it. It's like if, you know, the things that we do aren't unethical. They're just illegal, you know, meaning like when I say I love the life, except for the murders, except for the violence, that's what I mean by that. So like if you know, if you want to go into a casino, you know, you can bet sports gambling. Okay. It's legal. Okay. When we do it, sports gambling, they arrest us because we're part of organized crime. And also we're not paying taxes. And also if a guy doesn't pay, we hurt them. But if you take away the violence, the crime in itself isn't unethical. I mean, loan sharking, you can go to the bank and borrow money. When you don't pay the bank, they take your house. When you don't pay the mafia, they beat you. So if you take the violence away and all the crimes, they're not unethical crimes. The numbers, you can play the number business every day. So I miss that life. I miss that part of it. You know, if I could go back, I just wouldn't hurt people, you know, because you don't have to hurt people in that life. You can think for the guy that you're going to, if a guy wants to borrow 100,000 from you and he ain't got nothing going on, are you going to give him the 100,000? I mean, chances are you're going to, have a problem. So you can think for the guy. So I missed that part of the life. So back then it was a hard decision what I had to make. If you ask 99% of the people, what decision would you make? Would you go to jail for the rest of your life? Or if you got a wife, 3 kids, a beautiful girlfriend, plenty of money, businesses all over, or would you take a shot to, keep that and fight for that? And I think it's a no-brainer. I'm happy where I am right now is what I can tell you. I'm happy whatever decision I made. I wish that the difference is with my decision was, all I can say is, how a ship is sinking. our ship was sinking. Okay. It was like the Titanic. It was like going down. And I was a captain of the ship. And before I jumped off the ship, I reached out to three of my guys and told them, listen, I'm going to jump, but before I jump, you guys jump with me. Okay. So that's how I can say I can live with anything that happened, because I gave three of, my guys, there was only four of us. There was Artie and then my three guys. I gave my three guys the opportunity to say, this is what I'm going to do before I did anything. So that was like my way of saying, listen, let's do this. We'll come home. We'll open up, we'll do legitimate businesses, and, we'll live the rest of our lives, with our families and everything, because we knew what it was about, the way things were going on, go kill this guy, go shoot that guy. So right now I'm good with my decision. I got a lot of things going on. It's just the life is a bad life. When the violence comes involved, that life is a, treacherous life.
Absolutely. And look, I know you don't really give interviews, Anthony. You don't really do interviews. So, again, Anthony Arillotta, thank you for this interview. And
thank you, Stephen.
Thanks for coming on.
Nice meeting you too. Yeah. You got a good story too, my friend. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. And you come back on again, Anthony. And look, I wish you well in your life now, you and your family, and what you're doing, and
same to you,
and all of that.
Yeah. Same to you.
Thanks for tuning in, guys, to a wonderful new segment of The Big Shift with Stephen Gillen. Make sure to subscribe, go into stephengillen.com and sign up for more wonderful content to expedite, help, and support you on your own personal journey of success.